you here with us this evening. And I'm not going to say anything more. I just want to hear from you. So please welcome to the stage. Let's all welcome Vince on the next.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you, everyone.
How's the fan club in the house?
Well, that's my family, fraternity brother from back in my days here. I've got so many of my friends from the Michigan marching band here. It's a beautiful night.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I want to tell you something. I grew up in a tiny little town in the middle of nowhere, Nevada, that had more cattle than people. And for some weird reason, I decided I wanted to learn to play the oboe. And there was no oboe teacher, so I taught myself. And I kind of lived in awe and fear of conductors. Ever since trying to play the oboe in the orchestra as a self-taught musician. So, please be kind to me out there.
I'll be gentle, no problem.
But being a conductor who brings out the dignity of other people is a beautiful form of work and not the way a lot of conductors work. That's the fear part. So, when did you know you wanted to be a professional musician and a conductor who brings out dignity in people?
Well, I grew up in Greenville, Alabama, and I'm the youngest of three boys. And my mother was a teacher. She taught for many, many years. She was one of 7 children, and many of her brothers and sisters were also in education. And my mom's father passed away when she was 9 years old. And so she began to play piano, making, I think, a quarter every Sunday, playing for churches. And so me being the youngest of 3 boys, my mom being a musician, and my oldest brother, really, my oldest brother Anthony, he was my northern star. Trumpet player, piano player, songwriter, and he was everything to me. And so I think being born into that family, it was very easy for me to feel a safe space and place with music. So fortunately for me, I never had to really think about those kinds of decisions because it came easy for me. So my family was my starting point for feeling at home in music and in education.
And what brought you to Michigan?
That's a good question. What brought me to Michigan? Well, my mom and dad fell in love, and then my dad went to the war, World War II. My mom went to college. She eventually finished college, and she earned her degree in education, and she had got a job. My dad comes back from the war. My dad decides that, well, he's going to come north to find work so that he can finish college. Well, my dad came to Detroit and began working on the assembly line. And one day he called Mom, he said, look, I'm making about 3 times as much as you're making. Assembly line. I think maybe I should do this a little bit longer. Well, my father ultimately continued to work for General Motors, and he retired from General Motors after 40 years of working there. So what would happen was that when the school was on vacation in the summer, she'd put the kids in the car and we'd all drive north. We'd come to Detroit every summer. So Detroit was kind of like my second home. And I never thought there was anything kind of different about it until I was I don't know, I think I already graduated from college and I'm living in Los Angeles, and I thought, wait a minute, it's kind of weird that I always saw Dad in the summer, right? But I think the bigger message to me with that was essentially how powerful my mother was and how much she respected her own dreams of being a powerful educator, and that she would make her dream work even though my dad was in Detroit and they worked it out. It was very different, but it absolutely worked for them, and it ultimately worked for me too. And so that gave me a lens into the University of Michigan. That gave me the opportunity to know about Interlochen. I hadn't seen my older brother go to Interlochen. And that made me feel a certain kind of a passion for the University of Michigan, where I ultimately wanted to be. And so that's ultimately how I got to understand the University of Michigan.
So we could have called tonight a tribute to Dimony, Noble Work, and Incredible Mother.
I think that goes without saying. All those two brothers, right?
Okay, so keep us going on the journey. How do you get to Foshet?
Yeah, okay. This journey from the University of Michigan to Los Angeles. You know, I grew up in Alabama watching black and white television. The things I watched on television were shows coming out of Los Angeles. You know, I saw the palm trees, I saw the ocean, the Santa Monica Mountains, and whether I knew it or not, I was in love with LA. And so after my time was over here at Michigan, I had performed in the Olympics in '84. I had gone to a couple of Rose Bowls with the Michigan band. I was fortunate enough to be in the Disney All-American College Band in '85, so I had some experiences in Los Angeles. And so I spent my first 7 years in Los Angeles teaching at a high school, Canoga Park High School. But my big mission was to write music and perform. So although I was teaching music, my mind was on being successful as a musician, writing and performing. Well, after 7 years at Canoga Park High School, we won some marching band championships and what have you. But I felt that I needed to do something else. You know, there's a Michigan, she didn't graduate, but her name is Madonna. You got it. Madonna haunted me. Madonna had the audacity to leave the University of Michigan about 5 minutes before graduating to go to New York to pursue her dream. That always haunted me. I graduated, I went to LA, but I taught, and I was still thinking, man, I'm not giving enough to my son to dance. I'm not giving enough. I'm not sacrificing enough. So after 7 years of teaching at Canoga Park High School, I retired. Now you know you can't retire after 7 years. So
You can call it retirement.
okay, we'll call it retirement. I wanted to put more into this dream I had. So I began graduate school at USC. And I was also assistant director of the USC Trojan Marching Band, but don't tell anyone. And when I looked at what I was getting paid, I couldn't afford that. That couldn't afford me and the way I wanted to live. So I immediately asked the school district, even though I just kind of bailed about 3 months before. I said, hey, what half-time jobs do you have? And I need to make some more money. I need to make some more money. I wasn't looking to go into a community and make a difference. I was looking for a job to help me support my habits, my music habits. Well, there are 3 things they gave me, 3 places they asked me to look at. Wilmington, which is where the petroleum plants are, doesn't smell too good. A place, Marina Del Rey Junior High, and a place called Foshet. I called Marina Del Rey up first because that's by the beach. Anything by the beach has to be cool. Well, I called them up, they had trouble answering the phone, they didn't know about the kind of halftime music position, it was really bad. Well, I wasn't going to call Wilmington because I did not want to go down there. So I took a chance and called this place called Fauché. You know nothing about it. Well, guess what? The place is 2 minutes from USC. I did not know that until I spoke with the principal. The principal knew about the music opening, and we had a great time talking. I went and I interviewed. It was just as I go to USC. And so I took the position. And Fauché was one of the worst schools in the state of California. Fauché is located on the corner of Western and Exposition Boulevard. It's what we call an underserved neighborhood. Fauché, I had my first week or so there, I had some students do a project and they had to look up where all the incidents involving crime happened. And so when you looked at it on a screen, there would be dots for everywhere some crime had happened. Well, let me tell you, my area, the whole area was a dot. There was so much crime happening there. And so I realized that I wasn't just working a job. This was a mission. And so what I thought I was going to be doing turned into something else totally different after 2 or 3 years. I had gone through a lot. I had seen death. I had stood at a lot of funerals. There was one student of mine, Roberto Santiago, trumpet player in my band. A couple of years after he had graduated, his sister was graduating from college, Cal Poly Pomona. And they were having a nice party for them in the backyard, and someone in the alley got off 3 shots. Roberto was on the back porch, his sister was out in the backyard on the dance floor. And the 3 shots, one of them caught Roberto, one of them caught his sister, and another one caught someone in the hand. Roberto died, and his sister died. That was heavy. That was very heavy. That awakened me. That gave me purpose. 30 years later now. Yes.
We both have tears in our eyes.
Yes.
So let's just sit with that for a
I want you to know something though. I laugh every day at work. I cry every day at work. It's all the same for me.
Everybody who is here is now going to want to go look you up and learn more about the incredible accomplishments, the things you've done at Fauché are worthy of all of us learning more about what you're doing. You have received many awards for the work that you have done, including the Mr. Holland's Opus Foundation Award, which is only given to 5 music educators each year.
Well, you know, my mother would always say whenever something good would happen to me, she says, well, if you continue, I'll be proud of you. She never says I'm proud of you. She says, keep on, I'll be proud of you. But I think probably most, I'm really proud of the partnerships that I've created for that neighborhood, for that program. Because these are things that will allow the program to continue once I am doing something different. So I'm very proud of our relationship with Howard Banchik and the Harmony Project. I'm proud of our relationship with the Mr. Holland's Opus Foundation. I'm proud of our relationship with the late Tony Bennett and his foundation. It's exploring the arts. I mean, there are so many foundations and partners that I have surrounded those families with. Some years ago, when I first got to Fauché, their theater was a hot mess. I would have to rent equipment from Hollywood just to have my idea of a great show. And I felt that neighborhood needed to have its own theater. It needed to have what my vision of a cool music school, it needed to have that. And so I labored incredibly. I heard no so many times, but I stuck to it. And we got them a great theater with great sound and great lights, and so I'm pretty proud that that came together as well.
Your mom's proud too.
I'm sorry.
Your mom is proud too, that you stuck to it.
Well, thank you. I don't know if she'd sing, but yes.
So, in this room, we have a blend of musicians and change makers and people who study organizations for a living.
Mhm.
And those people should get together more, I think, but they aren't often in the same room. And one of the reasons that we wanted to make tonight happen and bring our two communities together is encapsulated in something that you write on your website for your students. So I want to read it.
Okay.
I want to get it right, because I love how you say this. You tell your students on the Fauché website, every day I look forward to helping bring the wondrous joy of music to our community. Now, people who study organizations, our ears are perking up because things like wonder and joy we know are really important, and that building community around things like wonder and joy is something that we wish more work organizations did. So what can you teach this audience of organizational scholars about building community through wonder and joy?
Yeah. Well, how did I get to that point? You know, Los Angeles is really a city of immigrants. But the difficult thing about living in Los Angeles is beginning to act like you're born there. And so I have always been and have always seen myself, the youngest of three boys, as being a little different. And so I have expressed to them, I'm from Greenville, Alabama, and they want me back. Whatever I'm doing here, it has to pop. And so understanding myself, knowing that all my mom, my brother, the experiences here at the University of Michigan, I can't deny any of that. And so whatever I'm doing, if it's 1 year, if it's 30 years, this has got to be the best year. And so there's Shakespeare. Be true to thine own self, and you'll be false to no man. And I think teachers really have to understand that, because for teachers, it's, you know, we work so long and we get so little time off, really. I mean, that summer goes by in a heartbeat, and we spend most of the summer getting ready to go back in late August and September. So it's incredibly important that we understand who we are and what it is that we want. What is our vision? What is our purpose? What is our why for teaching? And so that whole statement about the wonders and joy, I mean, that's my vision, because I know what music can do. I know what music can be. I know how we can love each other. I know how we can change the neighborhood through music, right? And so, I think it's important to express that as much as possible, because that has to be not just something that we say, but it has to be something that we feel and something that we do, even when we're not trying to. And so that's where that comes from.
Well, thank you for doing it every day.
No.
I'm glad you're doing it every day. I wish more of us in any, whatever organization we're in, are doing it every day. What's it like to win an Oscar?
Did you all hear about that? Could you ask that again?
What's it like to win an Oscar?
Oh?
Well, it's probably the greatest dopamine hit of all dopamine hits. But, it was truly amazing. It is truly amazing. You hear from everyone that you've ever known. Everyone wants to hear a story. It's more than a dream, because for me, as a musician, as a teacher, being on the red carpet at the Academy Awards is not something that I aimed for. That was never a dream of mine, right? But as things began to happen, and it seemed like a possibility, I began to hope for it. I was sitting in the theater, please, it's the last repair shop, And sure enough, we won the Oscar, and I'm not sure things have been the same since. My students look at me a little bit differently now, and when I'm introduced, it's always mentioned, and it's been great. It's been absolutely great.
All right, let's talk a little bit about this film. I really love this film. It is beautiful. It's moving. It's muscle.
And they told me about the project, and I said, okay, send over the story, let me check it out. And I said, okay, when is the session? And they said the session is tomorrow. I said, oh my goodness. But I tell you, in that moment, my brother was whispering in my ear. He said, hey, you're built for this. And so I said, hey, I'll be there tomorrow. Let's do this. And I got there the next morning, and it was an incredibly impressive and intimidating soundstage. It was gorgeous. I had never conducted an orchestra that size before. There were cameras everywhere. But, I just knew that, hey, this is my moment to give them what they need. We need to bring this thing together. This has to really, really pop. And so I just went into my lock-in mode. I was very nice to the oboe section. Yes. And we made magic. And it was just a beautiful thing. And when we saw it, even before it was actually added, a lot of people had already told me this movie is pretty powerful, but that last scene with you in the orchestra, I believe that's going to put us over the top. And when we were nominated for the Academy Award, I didn't know I had so many friends who were voting members. I had a couple of friends that called me up and said, look, you guys should start getting a speech ready because Vince, I'm voting for this. And that was the kind of love that we were getting from this. But it's just a special piece, and I can't wait for all of you to see it. And I want to say hi to Gabriel out there. I met Gabriel earlier. He's from Paris. He's from France, actually. I don't know if he's from Paris. But he's living in Boston now. He's here. It's his second time here. And he's having a great experience. How am I doing, Gabriel?
You're doing awesome.
Thank you.
Should we let people watch beautiful films?
You guys want to see the film?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing your story.
Oh. Oh, wow. Oh, thank you. Perfect time. Perfect time, right? Oh. Thank you. All right. One more. I'm sorry about that. Two more. Two? Right.